Welcome back to Autistic Tidbits and Tangents. I am one of your hosts, Cara Diamond. I'm an autistic teacher and university lecturer from the Toronto area in Canada.
Hi, I'm Bruce Petherick. I am a musician and autistic advocate, and I am melting in the Vancouver metropolitan area.
It is pretty hot. Yeah, even here it's quite humid. And we're back for part two with the wonderful Mitch Kosterman. We were having such a great conversation. We didn't notice all the time going by last time, so we thought we would bring him back. Mitch has worked extensively in the film industry in a variety of capacities as an actor, director, producer, and is now sort of on the business side of things and just has had such a storied and interesting career. And it's just a all around great human. So we're happy to have you back, Mitch.
Well, thank you very much. That was very kind of you to say all of those things. Made me sound more important than I am.
Oh, no, no, I don't inflate. No, you are important.
Welcome to the Autistic Tidbits and Tangents podcast.
Candid conversations between autistic off-hour professionals.
With lots of tangents in different accents. Each person's viewpoints on this podcast reflect their backgrounds and temporal perspectives at the time of recording, and do not necessarily reflect the views of everyone else. We believe that personal growth comes from listening and reacting to multiple perspectives, and that conversations can be catalysts for change, connection, and greater understanding. Thanks for being part of our community. Content warning for this episode include mentions of violence, diagnosis, and there is some swearing.
We want to ask you a whole bunch of things, more about the film industry, more about, just your life as someone who is autistic and didn't know for part of it, all sorts of things about you. And um, Bruce, did you?
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that question, for the honourable member from across the aisle. One of the things we didn't get into last time was something that interests me greatly, and that's autism and the performing arts. What was, I'm going to go with the negative one first. What was the struggle that you had in the industry because you're autistic? And I recognize that you didn't know at the time, but like maybe looking back.
The struggle?
Hmm.
The struggle would be that I misunderstood a lot of things. Not,
Mhm.
I misunderstood in what my job was. I misunderstood how to achieve certain things. I misunderstood how to relate to other actors and how that worked into the actual filmmaking process.
Mhm.
Um, because I had empathy issues. I was, as you know, there's always a lot of discussion about autistics and empathy. And I don't know. Two things were bad. One is that I misunderstood what was going on, and I misunderstood what the other actor was saying. And the other is that sometimes I failed to register anything. So in the first circumstance, I would make a mistake. In the second circumstance, I'd have a hard time figuring out what to do.
Yeah.
So if you look through my performances, especially in the early days, you can see sometimes I was so terrible that I'm sure the director was thinking, why the hell did I give this guy this job? Why was his audition so different from this crap that he's doing now? So I really struggled with that, especially if I watched it later.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Can you
This.
drill into that a little more? Because I'm a little confused. Bad performances normally get cut. Objectively bad
No,
performances. Well,
no,
okay.
no, they don't, because what happens is typically, especially if you're playing a smaller role, you have expository dialogue, which means that whatever you are doing is part of the story. Plus, budgets are so tight that to scrap something that is getting shot is almost never happens in television, especially. I mean, filmmaking is a little bit different, but in the time is so important that 9.5 times out of 10, that bad performance will in fact end up in the project. Now, they may not have the camera on you at the time, or it
Mm-hmm.
may be a little bit shortened or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that it is there for you to see and cry about.
Yes.
So what's I'm sorry, Karen.
I was just going to say, this is what I loved about theater versus film, because in theater, your performance just like exists in the time that it was. And even if
That's
something
gone.
terrible happened, like I fell on stage once in a one-woman show, that was pretty mortifying, but it's like,
Awesome.
gone.
Yeah, it's
As well.
gone, right?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's in people's memories, probably, but it's
No,
definitely
I'm sure
mine.
if
But
anyone does watch any of my earlier work, it was hit and miss.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes I had directors tell me I was amazing, and it took me years, literally
Mhm.
years, I don't know, maybe more than a decade, to figure out how to get in the right headspace at the
Mhm.
time. And my autistic brain would just fill up with other thoughts sometimes, and I'd
Yeah.
be standing there like it's terrible.
And did you find like there were certain directors whose style was more compatible with you, like their communication of what they wanted worked better for you versus
Yes.
others? Yeah.
Yes, in television, directors almost never speak to you. They're
Mm.
expecting you to give them a performance that fits in, and they'll capture it on camera and then they'll edit it in. You can work whole shows like for a whole week and not speak to the director.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I always had issue with that
Mm.
because for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, when I did have those conversations, things went better.
Yeah,
I
when
had
you know what they want and it's a bit more clear about what
Yeah. Yeah,
because
and
there's so
it's
many
a lot of time,
choices you can
yeah, and a
make.
lot of time it's less about making the right choice and more about having the confidence to proceed with what your plan was.
Yeah, yeah,
And as the shots usually captured in seconds, not
yeah,
minutes. So you only get a little shot at it.
yeah.
Um, anyway, it went wrong a lot of the times in the beginning, and then figured some stuff out later on, and it became very easy in the end because I accepted the fact that the director wasn't going to help you. I accepted the fact that the other actors weren't really going to work with you too much, and
Mhm.
that you had a responsibility to come up with something that was going to get captured on camera. And your goal, of course, is to make sure that when the editing does happen, that whatever you did does end up in the movie. And
Mhm.
when you're
Yeah.
terrible at it, it starts they stay on the other camera angle that has the dog walking by or something. So
I'll
anyway,
never leave
so
a scene with a dog walking by without thinking about that
yeah,
now.
there you go, exactly. But think about it, that took a quarter of a century, for me to figure those things out. So in the early days, I did some pretty awful stuff.
So I have to maybe point out that you can't have been that bad because and just because like
Why was I still successful? Well,
why were you still being cast? Like
Well,
there
two
are
two
yeah.
two things. There are two things. Okay. One to remember is that you'll meet a director who's directing something and he's never met you before. He's never watched you on television. In fact, the chances of him seeing you on television are pretty slim, but you have a good audition.
Mhm.
So if you have a good audition, then you can get the role.
Yeah,
Okay. They can base it on the audition. That's in the early days when I was auditioning.
yeah.
After that, a lot of guys would just look down my resume and see who I'd worked for and on.
Interesting.
Still didn't know me.
Yeah,
Maybe trusted a casting director, and it doesn't happen all that much, but sometimes they do, or some other person. And I
yeah.
got the job that way.
Well, okay, auditions. I want to talk about auditions for a second because um I can like, pros of auditions, of course, being like as an autistic person, I'm just thinking you can control your audition. You can control that
Mhm.
performance. You can go in and like you have a great piece. But also there's that like layer of unpredictability. There's, obviously as an actor you get used to a panel of people observing you, but like how did you approach auditions, and did your feelings towards them ever change? Like, beginning out as an actor, was it really nerve-wracking? Did you come to a place of ease? I'd love to hear a little bit more about auditions.
I never came to a place of ease. I
Okay.
I suffered a lot of anxiety over
Yeah.
auditions, and thankfully, as I was saying to you last time we talked, that eventually I got to a point where I didn't need to audition anymore,
Yeah.
and that was a great relief for me. I think that the auditioning process, although I'm told now it's a different thing than it was back when I did it. They
Yeah, I
don't do
think
them
we
in
started
person
to talk
anymore from
about
what
that.
they.
Yeah, last time we
Yeah.
talked about
So I
that and
don't.
just like, poof.
Yeah, I can't tell you what it's like anymore, but it used to be you'd be outside with sometimes two or three people, sometimes 40
15 or
people
20
waiting
people,
to,
yeah.
yeah, reading for various roles or maybe reading for the same role as you. So you keep bumping into the same guys, right?
Yeah, of
All
course.
these 6 foot white guys. Um, I mean, I still know those guys. I still talk to them on Facebook and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's pretty funny because, it was like 30, 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Um, what the heck was I going to say? I don't know. Oh, the audition.
Auditions.
So you make a decision uh, when you get better at it. Okay, in the early days, you're just trying to spit the lines out and not make a mistake. To be honest, when you get better at it and you start learning how to explore character and how to
Yeah.
create interesting things in those two
Yeah.
minutes that you got, um, you'll do some fairly routine stuff. In that you will discover what the intention is, then try to find something interesting that is yours that maybe even surprises them.
Hmm.
That's the goal, is to
Yeah.
surprise them and be better than they expected,
Yeah.
and memorable. But you also want to make sure you are ready for the thing that might happen, and that is that they give you some direction and they ask
Hmm.
you to change it. And as an autistic person who I've just rehearsed all this stuff and I've really worked it out, yeah, you're grimacing already.
Yeah.
Changing it is a very, very difficult thing for me to do.
Hmm.
So what I would always try to do is, because you learn things are very generic, unfortunately, television all kind of looks the same after a
Yeah.
while. You try to pick something that is quite different, like a completely different
Yeah.
intention in what you're
Yeah.
trying to say. Although the words remain the same, your intention is clearly different based
Yeah.
upon the tone of voice in your face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter as much if you hit what they're suggesting, because what that director is trying to do is find out two things. Do you have more in you? Can you be
Yes.
creative? And can you take direction?
Hmm.
So I focused on the do I have more in me thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the bottom line is that if it is interesting, it will stay in the film
Yeah.
and they will like it, and the people will see it and they will like it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the realization after a couple of decades, is that your responsibility is to create something interesting, something that
Yeah.
people are going to watch. And if you do that, the director is loath
Yes.
to try and tell you what his idea would be of
Mm.
what you're going to do. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just
Just wants to
wants it to
trust you
be
to do your job. Yeah.
exactly. So that was a real breakthrough. It was freedom,
Yeah.
emancipation of performance.
Yeah.
After about, I don't know, 15 years of doing it, I
Yeah.
realized, and I think I told you some stories about that already too. But that's when I realized that no, I'm I really should do what I think is right and
Yeah.
invest in it. Like
And trust
really
your gut.
invest in it, like
Mhm.
mean what I say when I say it. And that became a beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
in the later days when I didn't audition very much, they were for better parts and I didn't audition very often. So I actually enjoyed the process and started looking forward to doing it.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's very ironic to me, but anyway.
And
I've coached I was doing some vocal coaching for a pretty well-respected actor who a year or so later I found out was autistic. And they were saying in their prep, they have sides and they're giving the script that they need to audition for. And they had like 4 stock characters that they could
mm,
switch. If a director said, "Can you do it from another angle?"
interesting.
They kind of had a character to move into, which I thought
Um,
was very autistic, actually.
yes, to have the roles.
Well, it's
Um,
good. I think that would be a good idea to have a kind of a template. you're not necessarily going to copy anything, but you can head in that direction and have those, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I think that would be a good thing to do. Yeah.
one of the
Maybe
things
I
that
did that unconsciously because I know that I would
yeah.
always have a couple of things I could do.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask you first of all, like, how could you tell what was interesting, and like, what was your process? Like, what were some of the things that you did to
Well,
explore like what was interesting and like real to that?
right. Well, the most important thing is to understand what is going on in the scene. And sometimes that's hard when you get sides and you've only got to, you're going to read two lines in this scene, two lines in this scene, and then two lines in this scene. Oh,
Yeah.
yikes. So it's kind of hard to figure out something. But I think the number one thing is to give yourself the freedom to explore.
Mm.
Stop thinking in terms of giving them what they want and
Yeah.
give them what they need.
Oh, I
Like
like that.
trust your own opinion. Like
Yeah.
start to realize that your conviction in whatever you do is probably the most valuable part of it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And so if you give conviction to something that you decide is important and you commit to that in there, it is 99.9% of the time going to be better than anything they could have imagined
Yes.
because it has that personal commitment
Yeah.
of whatever it was you are trying to do. And they will think for a second, does that fit in? Yeah, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. One of
And
my
now they're fine
favorite,
with it. It could be
yeah,
completely different from how they imagined it. In fact, it probably is.
yeah. One of my favorite, like, sort of prep tools as an actor, because I went to theater school, and I learned this from Ken Gass, and he would have, whether I was doing it as a monologue or with a scene partner, basically you like roll up a sock, you have a sock, and you play with like intentions of the lines and like verbing. So before
Right.
you say the line, you would think, okay, I'm going to try this one. I command, and then you say the line, and at the same time you like throw, toss, drop, like what you use the body to also embody that with the sock, how you throw the
Oh, I
sock at your
see.
partner.
Right.
So, or if you're doing it by yourself, you're imagining that you're throwing it to at
Right.
dropping,
Yeah.
whatever, but playing with verbs that way, like you could do the same line 100 different ways and really
Right.
play with the different choices. And I feel like that would help a lot with the audition. Like if you had done the sides with that kind of thing, that was something that always helped me to be show something
Right.
different because I knew when I performed this, I did it with this intention, and now we're
Right.
shifting to
I would
another.
say that is sounds like a wonderful exercise to get an actor thinking in terms of trying different stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
because that's a big problem because actors especially when they're novices, they typically try to decide what is the right way to do it
Yeah, yeah,
and then they will imitate that. And that's the
yeah.
problem. And the exploration that your teacher there was trying to get you to
Mm.
explore is wonderful.
Mhm.
The process, though, once you became a professional actor, could not possibly involve the structure
Yes,
that
no, yeah,
he had, right? That he
yeah,
had put in place for you to explore. You
yeah,
would have to develop your own personal way
yeah.
of exploring things. And it would all be taking place in your brain, standing in the
Hmm.
corner of a room for in whatever way worked for you.
Yeah.
There are actually a number. I never heard about this in film or television, but there are theater directors who use the actor's thesaurus, and their process is verbing every single line.
Hmm.
Um, and I've worked with actors who work with them, and it's draining,
Yeah.
but it's amazing at the end. I just don't think that you've got enough time in film and television
Yeah,
to
it's
do
like
that.
this
But
is
you don't,
stuff that you do
no
on
chance.
your own. Yeah, yeah,
No.
and
In fact, but if you do get the job, you've already done a lot of exploring because you spent hours working on that audition.
exactly.
So, and what can happen, of course, is that you go there and they've changed the script and they've hired different actors, so now the whole scene's a little bit different. But that's okay
Yeah,
because as us wonderfully masking actors, when you want us to do the real thing with other people around, we don't have a lot of trouble talking or coming up with
yeah,
things that might be interesting. We actually
yeah.
have too many choices to make
Oh, for
once
sure.
you're actually there in the costume standing on the set.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Any, oh, go ahead, Bruce.
sorry, I'm sorry, Cara. I'm active today. Um, Earlier you said that your two problems you had you not understanding some things.
Hmm.
And the other thing was you said that like basically I'm going to like rephrase your relationship with other actors was a
Yeah.
challenge, but you've just
Yeah.
talked about how easy it was once you're on in front
Easy
of the
for
camera.
me to easy for me to come up with something.
Yeah.
Okay.
That and that was one of the things I think I told you about near the end was I didn't care as much what everyone else was doing. I was
Yeah.
reacting to the people around me, of course. But sometimes the script, I would embellish that script in
Hmm.
my own mind, and I would
Yeah.
embellish that character to create something interesting.
Hmm.
The difficulty for some inexperienced and not so generous actors was that it sometimes changed the often really changed the subtle or more obvious parts of the scene.
Yes.
You know, I can't think of a very good. Well, did I tell you the example about? Yeah, I think I did. I was on Smallville, and we're supposed to go and arrest Clark, and his dad
Okay.
Jonathan is there, and I'm with like I don't know, FBI guy or
Mhm.
some other thing, and he was a guest star, and he was supposed to come on and arrest Clark. I
Okay.
didn't tell you about that.
No, I don't remember that
Okay,
story.
I
okay. Well,
listened to like three of
this
your
is
interviews, so I don't remember if it was ours or not, but I tell us, tell
okay.
us.
Well, it's a good example, a very good example, because for a couple of reasons. The first thing is that I had by that time on Smallville been working on it for more than a year. Really knew the character well, knew all the scripts. And remember, the guest directors are coming in, and I think I told you about how they say to you. One of them said to me, in fact, read out loud, he said, "I rely on you to bring that character." He
Mm-hmm.
says, "How do I know? I just came up here from Los Angeles yesterday, so you need to give me that character." Anyway, so we arrive on scene, the police car pulls up, and I get out with this FBI type guy, and we stuck to the dialogue. The dialogue was exactly the same. But let's say you were reading the script, it was easy to be that FBI guy, read the script, and see that I was on his side, and we were both a couple of assholes coming in to be tough,
Yeah, yeah,
macho bravado guys. We're going to arrest this teenager.
yeah.
But I got out, and I obviously spent days thinking about this, of course. And I was, well, Jonathan, I'm regretful, right? I was
Hmm.
very regretful. Why not? I went to high school with Jonathan.
Hmm.
I was supposedly exactly the same age as him.
Yeah,
We had grown up together. We both had our families together. It's supposed to be a small town in Iowa or whatever the
yeah,
hell it was, right?
yeah,
Wouldn't I know him?
yeah.
Why would I be being a tough guy to I'm the sheriff. Why would I be behaving that way to the people who live in my town?
Yes.
So I was like that. But
Yeah,
this guy who was playing the FBI character didn't like it at all
yeah.
because the way he was saying stuff now was a serious contrast. And
Yes.
he didn't listen to me or watch Jonathan because um Jonathan then well sorry what's his name Schneider
Mhm.
and Welling got right into it.
Yeah, yeah.
They did because they're smart professional actors.
And
They got right into it.
responsiveness is so important. Yeah.
But the poor guy playing the FBI guy had already decided how he was going to say everything, and he was picturing in his mind how everyone else was going to respond.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's my interpretation of observing what happened. When we got off, when we were finished with that, and we went back to where we were sitting, he was super pissed off, and he said something to me. I said I can't remember what we were talking about. I said something. He goes, "Yeah, right, Mitch," like that. Dude. Anyway, so that's how it could sometimes cause problems. But
Mhm.
when you're with good actors, and of course things moved on from there, and I had a wonderful time. When you're working with people like Tom Welling and John Schneider, and
Yeah,
um, now they're looking for it. You can just see the twinkle in their eye because they're
yes.
looking for you to throw something at them that
Yeah,
makes them give a real reaction. And
yeah.
those are the kind of things that create real and memorable characters.
Hmm.
Not getting out there and saying your lines the way you plan to say them,
Yeah,
regardless of what everything else happens in the scene.
yeah,
That's the big mistake.
yeah.
So I had to learn how to, the other side of that, right?
Listening and
because Jonathan
responding.
just,
Yeah.
oh yeah, so
Yeah.
Jonathan just started going crazy. I remember one time we were doing an episode and we were supposed to be standing on the steps waiting for the door to open. Something was happening with the camera behind the door, and the guy was supposed to come because there's a shot from down the hallway and out to four or five of us. Christian was there. Can't remember. I think there were about four of us standing on this
Mhm.
porch, but I'm front sheriff. Can't remember what I said. Oh, so Jonathan starts saying the lines, and he just goes through like this giant book of different ways to say these
Yeah.
things and varying his attitude. He's getting in sort of fights. He even once pushed me on the shoulder and stuff.
Yeah.
He's testing the limits of what we can
Yeah.
do on this porch.
Yeah.
And everything that went on from that point on was a delight. And I had started off not really liking that job, and I ended up absolutely loving that job.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I learned a lot about acting, obviously,
I
because I took that
bet.
on to the rest of my shows. And that's
Yeah.
really why I stopped auditioning. I started having some great success. I just,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That must have been quite a shift to like feel comfortable with it and feel like those really anxiety producing. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
there
the
are other
anxiety
parts.
was
Yeah.
gone. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the anxiety
exactly.
was gone. Now I was looking forward to what I could do,
And the
right?
playfulness and the yeah, yeah,
Playfulness. That's a
exactly.
good word. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Because no matter how serious we got, we're having a little chuckle afterward, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
lethargy and disinterest are really the poisons that destroy
Yeah.
an acting performance.
Oh, I feel like you're giving like a masterclass vibe here. All of the things. Did you?
I'm I'm pretty low level actor, a character actor who can come in sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I can't imagine how massive the process is for some of those people who have to carry a whole show.
Yeah.
I watched Tom many times and I thought, oh my gosh, man, you got like 10 scenes to do
Yeah.
today. And I have, I'm really happy when I can get a couple off.
Yes.
Right?
And how much turnaround is there from like, here's your script and we're going to be recording?
Well, you get a script, but things can really change. And then once again, as you don't know how the other actors are going to play it.
Hmm.
So there is a lot of exploration that would make it better.
Yeah.
However, you're on a timeline here. Like
Yeah.
the directors, sometimes there's even a producer standing there because now the director's behind a little bit. He lets things
Yeah.
go a little slow. So now there's a producer standing on set to make sure that we don't miss things. And he's talking to the script supervisor and saying, you know what, we don't have to shoot this scene. We can scrap this. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Wow.
so there's a fair amount of pressure, and that's television, of course.
Of
If it's
course.
a really good feature film, but I mostly did television,
Yeah.
and there was always a timeline, and there was always a lot of
Yeah.
pressure to get things in the can, as they say,
Of
because
course.
film used to come in cans, right? So
Yeah.
you want to get stuff in the can, and unfortunately, if you're the actor who has a lot of scenes that day, you don't have the time, or the energy to commit the same way to every single little scene that you have.
Yeah. Of
Some
course.
of them you're gonna just walk through,
Yeah.
and that's really the number one thing that causes television to be so boring these days,
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
that they're not allowing the actors to give you a good performance,
Hmm.
making them stick to the scripts, which are often terrible because everyone
Yeah.
sounds the same.
And
Back in
these
the
days I
80s,
find that. Yeah.
yeah, back in the 80s, you used to call it disco dialogue because everyone sounded like the same person. That was Stephen Cannell.
Wow.
Um, anyway, blah blah. You know me. I get going, I don't stop.
I love
Sorry.
this. No, I had a couple, now I have a couple of tangents. So,
Okay.
I was reading Barbara Streisand's autobiography,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed. Um, I have some suspicions she could be neurodivergent, but one of the things
Oh,
that
I believe she is. Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of the things that she talks about in her early days when she was doing a lot of theater, she really hated the idea of like having marks, places for, places on the
Oh, yeah.
stage you have to hit. The
Exactly.
lighting cue will be, because she was like, what if that's not what I feel like doing in the moment? Like she really is such a responsive
Yeah.
performer and like,
Yeah.
she'll different intentions every time. And other creative people didn't appreciate that because they want the
Yeah.
performance to be predictable. But that listening
Yeah.
is like the magic, and
TV's
Um,
a lot like that. Did I
yeah,
tell you what Stephen Gyllenhaal said to me
I
about
don't
that?
know.
No?
Tell me. Tell again
Doing a
if you
movie, I
didn't.
can't remember what it was, and it was my first day shooting.
Yeah.
And I, s- I don't know. I was a little bit nervous, so I was asking him some questions. I had planned what I was going to give a try, and I
Yeah.
had some ideas where we could move to if he didn't like it. But we were shooting outside,
Okay.
beside this car, and it was me and Dana Delaney, and we had a conversation. I think, yeah, it was her husband. She gave me the car, and I was supposed to be really happy about that. Anyway, so I was asking questions of Steven. I said, "Do you want this over here? How's that? Is that good? Do you want me to this? Physical positioning."
Yeah.
And he goes, he says, "Cut, cut. Okay, everybody, just take a little break here." And he comes over and says to me, "Mitchell, you've never worked with us before, but you see, your job is to act, and our job is to film that." And he turned around and went back behind the camera.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So that was another one of those epiphanous type moments that when me,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he wants me to do what I think is best. They're paying me to
Yeah.
do what I think is best. And the scene worked out
Yeah.
really, really well.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was the way it was for the rest of the movie because that was the very first day on set, and I actually had a lead role in it. So
Yeah.
we worked
Cool.
together for quite a while, and it was a wonder. We even shot some in Los Angeles too
Oh
for a
wow.
while. It was a wonderful experience. Yeah.
Uh, any shows where I don't know, any shows where you're filming or movies where you're filming and um like any difficulty with like laughing or having to retake things because you or co-stars are I mean, I realize as professional actors it probably doesn't happen
Mhm.
that often, but those sort of outtake moments.
I'll take moments. I'm sorry, I'm struggling to see what
So
I'm
like, when
thinking.
people break character or laugh because something's so spontaneously funny
Oh
or
my God.
uh
Oh, well, on some shows, and I'm sure the producers, if the producer happens to be on set, I'm sure that he's just
having a
fuming
conniption.
inside.
Yeah.
But sometimes they have to indulge actors because they are, well, two things. One is they are a person of power on the set
Hmm.
at the time. The
Hmm.
other is that it might be part of their process to get them into the mood for that particular character.
Ah, okay.
So no one says a word,
Yeah.
and the actors continue to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But um, Welling and who's the guy who played Lex Luthor? Look at
Oh,
this guy.
I'm terrible with names.
You know what I mean, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Classic autistics. We don't remember anyone's name.
Yeah.
Anyway, it might come to me. But anyway, they were always doing things like fart jokes and stuff, you know. So pretending to fart or really fart,
Yeah. Oh
things
my
like
God.
that, you know,
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
making jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And um, I envied them because I was not part of that circle at the
Hmm.
time. I remember that. I remember being jealous because they're all having a good laugh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did also imagine there was probably a producer thinking, okay, looking at his watch.
For sure. Yeah. I
Yeah,
can
but I
definitely see
think
that.
that that was another part of it was they were building their relationship,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
which came across. I mean, they were
Yeah.
good friends, you know, by the
Yeah.
time the show was over, they were very good friends. And I think that everything that they did that we thought was a joke on set
Was a way of doing
worked
that.
toward developing that relationship. Because
Hmm.
otherwise, you hardly ever see each other. You live in different cities, you fly
Yeah.
in, you do the scene, and you leave, right?
Yes.
So you got to take whatever opportunities you can if you're going to try and build an authentic relationship that, because let's face it, if you have a relationship with someone and you come into a room and there's someone else observing you two approaching each other, you can tell if those people know each other, right?
Yes.
On a very
Yes.
basic level.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that people don't appreciate sometimes is just how good the audience is at sensing subtleties, especially
Yes.
relationships between people.
Hmm.
Anyway,
That's a good
but
point. Um, well, I, I had a question. I have several questions, but one was on topic and one is off topic. But the on topic one is
whatever.
gone. So we're gonna go with the off topic one and I'll circle back maybe.
Sure.
So before you were talking a little bit about some of the problems in television today and like TV shows not being that interesting. So I'm so curious, like what do you enjoy? What have you been watching? What yeah, your
Okay.
shows you
I
like or
enjoy.
movies.
I have probably have a good little list here. I just watched Your Friends and Neighbors.
Okay.
You haven't seen that?
Oh, I mean, again, I'm terrible at names, even
Oh,
of
okay.
shows and
As
TV.
John Hamm
Okay, okay. I
is
like
this
him.
dad, and he gets caught up in some hijinks and stuff. Was
Okay.
very good. Yeah.
I've always liked him as an actor. Like I find him
Uh-huh.
really interesting to watch and
He he does amazing characters.
yeah, yeah.
He can just be so many different people.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
wonderful.
One of my
Um,
favorite Black Mirror episodes has him in it. He's so good.
mhm. I
Yeah.
thought all the Black Mirrors were good.
Yeah.
I like that stuff. I like those anthology series.
Yeah.
Murderbot
Okay. Okay.
was really good. I'm sorry, I'm just saying those are both Apple shows. Um, 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
I keep a list
But get your little list. Yeah.
because I can't keep track, right?
Neither
So
can I, clearly. Like, I don't remember names of anything.
there you go. Okay. And it's my shows. Maybe I can't find it now. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I can't find it,
Yeah.
but it's somewhere. I'll find it as soon as I leave here, but
Oh, that's
sorry,
always the way it
I
goes.
can't remember
And do
remember
you
any shows.
enjoy like watching movies or films, or is it hard to turn off your like the analytical part that
Oh,
comes from being a working person in film?
no, I watch a lot
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
still write and I
yeah,
did like directing.
yeah,
I'm very much still a student of filmmaking.
yeah.
And
I love that.
on my Instagram, you'll see that yeah, if you want to see the things that I liked and didn't like, go to
Okay,
my Instagram
okay.
because I try to write really short.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's just one sentence.
Yeah,
Uh, because I don't like, I should try and finish at least one sentence, shouldn't I? Some of them are big and some of them are long, but most of them are really short. But I
yeah,
do tell you what I think is important. Like this is a really good British murder mystery if you like British murder mysteries, right? Because some people just don't like them, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I can go on and on about stuff like that, and I don't like saying, "Oh, the camera work was really bad in this,"
yes.
or especially seeing as a lot of it was shot like in my neighborhood right here, right? And I
I
know these
bet.
people who I worked with, and I lived close to them,
Yeah.
so I can't say like there's a. I better not name them, but there are a couple of. There's one show in particular I think of that's receiving huge accolades, and I love
Yes.
the people who work on it. Um, and it's shot right close to I could walk there.
Yeah.
Um, and it's, in my opinion, it's terrible.
Yeah. It just falls flat for you. Yeah.
Well, it's yeah, it's more not just it's not acting performances as much as it is director
Yes.
decisions.
Yes.
Like well, there's this one scene where they're I can't tell you without ruining it anyway. But
I'm guessing it's one of three, just because I know
okay,
what's shooting at the moment. It's okay.
go
Actually,
ahead.
no, actually, no, no. It's more. I think if I may, I've just walked back into the conversation. My apologies. We're rewatching MASH at the moment,
Okay.
Oh, cool.
and do not go if you've got a positive view of MASH. Don't go and watch the first three seasons. Like
Yeah.
the acting is terrible, the directing is terrible, the
Yes.
lighting
Yeah.
is so
Right.
bad that you will have
Yes.
them do that. You'll have like Hawkeye and
Yeah.
Trapper be walking. Half the shots in a studio, the other half is outside, and it's just like it's so bad. Pierce is one dimensional. Everybody's one
Yeah.
dimensional. Now, I do have. I'm just of the age, like I was when the final episode was like I was 16 or something. So I have really fond memories of the late seasons. But
Right.
it's kind of interesting how this show, which is arguably, let's say it's in the top 10 television shows of all time in
Hmm.
North America, it is so bad. in the early seasons. Technically,
But
so bad.
I've experienced that exact same thing a number of times because um, the past couple of years, there hasn't been a lot of new product introduced. So I've sometimes started and watched series that I used to really like.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, just like that, exactly the same thing. I don't know what changed. Is it my knowledge or is it culture or what is it?
Yeah.
Is it filmmaking? But it isn't as good. And I start to recognize all the mistakes in it and stuff like that. One of the things I did recently was, as an exercise for myself, I watched the Belgian version of an original detective show, and it's now been made into a British version. It's called Professor T,
Okay.
and it's a very good show. But I had watched the first couple of seasons of the British version and thought it was absolutely brilliant. And then I watched the Belgian show. It was quite different, and it was a real exercise to watch that. But when I came back to the British one, it was less now. For
Hmm.
some reason, I don't know if it's an adjustment that gets made in your brain with regard to
Yeah.
accepting characters, or if it's a real critical thing with regard to, like you were saying, lighting and directing and set decoration and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
editing. I don't know what it is.
If you
But
watch Korean drama
I do.
I do.
like the Korean shows are technically so far superior to almost everything happening in North America. Uh,
Way ahead in autism as well.
Yeah.
It, yes,
We
yes,
liked that show.
yes.
In TV.
Yeah.
Attorney Wu's coming back.
Oh, good.
Oh, awesome.
And she was it was Attorney Wu that got me into starting to watch some Korean shows. And then
Yeah.
Meredith and my wife and I started binging. I shouldn't say binging, but we sort of watch eight or nine. And my Korean is still terrible, but I just watch. There's different character choices. The set design is just stunning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, shows are
A-
really interesting. They go through the whole gamut of emotions and
And then
genres.
you flip to like your standard whatever is in the top 10 American one, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
No, the American stuff is crap. None of the emotions seem sincere.
Yeah.
You watch Korean drama and you empathize
Yeah.
Mm.
because they look like they're real people who are going through emotional things.
Yeah.
And
Eh,
that's what I think, that's what amazes me most about American television
Yeah.
is that how popular the crap is.
Yes. Well, and now
Like,
everything is like reality TV is everything. And then the great shows
yeah.
get cut after a season.
Well,
And yeah.
yeah, but I don't mind. Like, you used to never get things run very long from
Mhm.
Europe
mm.
and the UK when they
Mhm.
were 4 episodes, 10 episodes, whatever it took to tell the story, and then they
And it's
would.
fine if it's planned that way and you know that it's like the whole story.
Mhm.
What I hate is
Yeah,
when it's a show and they only get the season, but they didn't quite wrap up a storyline and you're
right.
like,
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
I read about Alf yesterday that I think it was went for 5 or 6 seasons. I know of the show, but how the actor who played the main male role started
what
punching the
show?
puppet Alf,
the
um,
puppet, the alien
alien
puppet,
life form.
like early
Oh, Alien
90s.
Life Form.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And like the cast hated it, but the
Huh.
the television the station canceled the show, but they decided that they weren't too sure if it was going to be totally canceled, so they did a cliffhanger. But it seems so formulaic.
Hmm.
Like,
Mhm.
oh, we need to run a cliffhanger because that way we might be able to sell the show on
Another
to a
season.
different broadcasting system. And it's like there's no thought to it being a finished product.
Hmm.
No, those obvious devices just ruin drama, I think.
I'm curious about emotions. So as an actor, you just pointed out like a lot of actors these days in TV don't get the emotional authenticity, the emotional depth. And like, how was that for you? What was that process like?
Well,
Yeah.
as a secondary character, almost all the time, I could do what I thought was right. And I fully admit that I have no idea what the audience wants.
Yeah.
because I watch shows. My friends work on some really bad shows. I shouldn't name any of the shows, but Reacher. Um, those kind of shows that are just the same crap every week, and the man is the manly man,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tropes. What
Yeah.
tropes are things just worn out things. How about a cranky teenager? Have you seen a cranky teenager lately? Oh my God. They think they write by formula, and I listen to these
Yeah.
writers. I can't remember this one guy, he teaches writing, and you'll actually hear writers and writing teachers say, if there isn't conflict in the scene, it's boring. Well, yes, but the meaning of the word conflict has some
Mhm.
accents to that. You can't just say people are fighting and
Yeah.
verbally
Yeah.
arguing, because that's what comes out of that lesson. And
Yeah.
that's what comes out of that formulaic writing. That's what comes out of having 10 friggin' guys sitting around, and it's almost always guys,
Hmm.
sitting on chairs in a room and writing a script together.
Yeah.
It keeps coming up with the same stuff. They call them
Yeah.
beats, right?
Yes.
Because at a certain point,
It has to be
certain
beat here,
things.
beat here, beat here.
Yes,
Mm.
and they write like that every single week. So when we watch the series, um, watch these American series, especially the crime dramas, they're all the same. And the
Hmm.
main cop has always got the same personality and the
Yep.
same problems. And throw in that cranky teenager, and you've got your formula for the whole thing. The problem is that as much as I think that is absolute shit, and I will not give it the time of day, although I have purposely watched to make sure I'm giving a fair evaluation of it, it
Mm.
is popular,
Hmm.
massively popular. And
Hmm.
I believe one of the things that gets ignored a little bit too much in conversation and journalism is that, in my opinion, in American television, the popularity of that show depends almost entirely on how good looking the lead actor is. 9.5 times out of 10, that's going to determine your success.
Awful. Really is awful. Well, it's the same now with musicians, right? We have auto tune. It doesn't matter what they look like
Yeah.
now.
And
But
actually,
if you,
Or sound like, I should say.
I
other
need to
countries aren't
say,
that way.
but I was actually going to say about Korea, the majority of the actors are boy band, girl band singers.
Yeah.
That's the thing
Yeah.
that's amazing to me. That I'll be really like, this is great, this is fantastic, and you'll read, and this, like, maybe the main actor, one of the main actors
Yeah.
is like an actor, but then the other one
Right.
was like used to be in blank band, and she used to be in
Right.
this band. It's like, okay, so how do they? Is it the fact that K-pop? And this is, Maya, we need you, honey.
Yes, she's
Um,
a big K-pop.
is it the fact that K-pop is so, it's formulaic, but a deep formula?
Mhm.
Well, and it's also like it is an intensive, right? They work around the clock, like it is brutal conditions to be a pop star, and I would imagine an actor in Korea as well. Like it is
Mhm.
highly competitive and highly, yeah, I don't know. Oh,
I think you're
sounds
running out of
awful.
time, aren't you?
Oh
Almost,
yeah.
almost. I
Somebody has
and
to run away
please,
after an hour. Who
I
was
want
it?
to go. I want to sort of make up for the 5 minutes I was away. Um,
Okay.
So I also wanted to talk about your brothers in show business too. So like,
Oh, we never even got to
yeah,
my
yeah,
brother.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how, like, did you both sort of independently come to show business? Did you influence one another? Like how?
Well, there was a show called The Fly 2. Mel Brooks produced it,
Okay.
and it was being
oh
made
yeah,
in
yeah.
Vancouver.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was 1984, 85, something like that. And my brother, he's a very athletic guy. He was quite a well-known martial artist at the time. And somehow he's much more charismatic than me. He can make friends really easily. It's amazing. Anyways, he somehow got himself into playing a stunt double role on that. And he worked on it for a long time. Well, in Vancouver at the time, was really a great opportunity time for actors and getting into film because it was starting to boom, but we didn't have any crew, we didn't have any cast. Um, and he phoned me and he says, "Hey, do you want to be like an extra in this movie?" And I said, "Sure." He says, "What do I have to do?" And he says, "You dress up like a soldier and you just kind of run around with some other soldiers." So I did that, and the most fun thing was it was summer and we were told because we were extras, we weren't allowed to eat out of this certain ice cream cooler. We weren't allowed to eat off the table, what the craft services table. Extras often don't even, they get sandwiches, they don't even get the same lunch as everybody. It's pretty bad.
Yes.
So I remember myself and my buddies, my soldier buddies there were stealing the ice cream all day. So that was about the best fun thing about that. But I got made, but I also uh very quickly they turned off the lights and I was supposed to run forward with my machine gun on this thing. Well, I couldn't see a darn thing and I ran into a light and knocked the light over. So cut.
Oh no.
Yeah. So then the extras wrangler, that's the person who's supposed to talk to the extras. The director can't talk to the extras because then they become actors technically, right?
Oh my
So
gosh.
she comes over. I don't know what your name is, but you can't be there.
You're like, I figured that out.
That was the start of my career. So I did a little bit more extra work than I did. I saw very quickly. It was easy to move up. I became a stand-in, and I did a stand-in for a little while, and then my brother sort of encouraged me to do some auditioning. So I did that for commercials and stuff. When I got a couple of commercials, and then somehow in there I took some acting classes and got an agent
Mhm.
and uh and started moving up. And then I switched agents a couple of times, and each time I did switch agents, things moved forward like a little turbo boost
Yes.
for me. And that's it. Does that answer your question? I didn't remember what you asked me. I'm
We're
sorry.
asking about your brother, and so
Oh, oh,
he
my
was,
brother. Oh, yes.
yeah.
Sounds like he's
Right.
had an influence on you.
So
Yeah.
yes, so he was doing all that stuff up to the point. I think he even did stand-ins, photo doubles, did some stunts, which I did as well. Or in the
Cool.
early days, we were doing stunt doubles and stuff like that. And then he said to me, he was working as a bodyguard, and he said to me, I just can't do this work anymore. It's terrible. I'm going to get into film. What should I do? And the
Mhm.
choices were lighting or because acting, you couldn't make a living as an actor. I always had other income to be
Yes.
an actor. And he said lighting or Teamsters. And I said, well, call them both, and whichever one calls you back. So my
Yeah.
brother became a Teamster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when he was a Teamster, I'm trying to do this really quickly. He was involved in a union dispute where actors from the United States so many people had been coming from the United States and permits weren't really that big of a deal. A lot of Americans were coming and working here. So the unions were trying to push back on that a little bit.
Mhm.
One of the things that they did was the Teamsters said you cannot bring bodyguards anymore because security and drivers were the same people, okay?
Yes.
Same union. So they said you can't bring bodyguards anymore. We've got our own guys. We didn't, but
Mhm.
Teamsters didn't have anybody. But this guy, Jim, he ended up being the transport coordinator on Smallville. Actually, Jim. Anyway, Jim said, "Oh yeah, we got this guy, and my brother had just become a driver, right?
Mhm.
We got this guy. His name's Cliff. Cliff couldn't. I don't think he remembered Cliff's last name,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway, so calls my brother and says, "Well, you trained as a bodyguard?" Yes, my brother had gone to bodyguard school in
Wow.
California, So he went to be a bodyguard for, I think it was Sharon Stone, to tell you the truth,
Mm.
and it kind of took off from there. And he did really well. He ended up traveling the world with some of these actors. They
Wow.
liked him and they took him everywhere. And then in 2005, he went to work for the two guys on Supernatural.
Oh,
And
cool.
now, as you probably know, he's been involved with them for, well, in particular, Jared Padalecki, but both of them really
Mhm.
still, even though one lives in Texas, one lives in Connecticut, but he's
Wow.
still they do this year, I think he said 35 or 38 different countries around the world where they're doing conventions. And
Wow.
and my brother's involved in arranging a lot of the other parts of the conventions and stuff now, but he principally goes there to provide a security team
Yeah.
for the actors. He's still doing that 14 years later, 15 years later.
Amazing.
And he worked also on Jared Padalecki's show, Walker.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there are other shows coming up too. He's got a movie of his own in development. So
Oh, that's so awesome.
yeah,
Bruce, do you look like you had a question for a moment there, but maybe.
Sorry, I know I just go, don't I?
No, I love it.
I was interested. I actually the only thing I was going to say is I wonder who the bodyguard was for
Sharon?
no, Kevin Costner in the film The Bodyguard.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
Meta Bodyguard.
Uh,
Sorry, that joke was in my head going, I can't remember the people's names. And
oh, I can
You're
relate
the
to
third
that.
one.
Holy cow.
We were just talking when you were gone about how we can't remember people's names, and I can't remember show names or song names or names
Me
in general.
too. It's terrible. But you
But
see,
I'll
after I walk
recognize
away
things.
after this interview, I'm gonna remember all of those
Oh
things.
yeah. And I'm really good at like places. If I see a place in a movie, I'll remember other movies I've seen it in, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that was in that, like just like a database of images, I guess.
okay, how does that happen? Because one of my, and I hate using superpower, but one of the superpowers I have is, in one respect, a phenomenal grasp of geography. That I could go into a city
Yeah.
and 20 years later go back and navigate.
Hmm.
Still
And
find the coffee shop,
yep, remember the hotel, remember, well, or
right?
there were a whole bunch of buildings that have changed it here, but
Hmm.
I know
Hmm.
what the curve of the road was like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really good. And you, Kari, you've just said similar sort of things, but it is that sort of, I can't remember people's names.
Yeah.
Selective. Yeah.
Very selective.
But is it
Same problem.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah.
we we as autistics tend to have this, it's one of those general problems that most
Hmm.
autistics, or many autistics, let's say, have problem, one with face blindness,
Hmm.
um, but two, names,
Yep.
yet the people I'm thinking of that have this problem can be like my friend over here can tell me what page the quotations from in her book were used. And I've
Hmm.
read this book just recently. They said this and this book, and it's like, okay, you've got a phenomenal memory for.
Visual spatial, like, yeah. 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 Yeah.
Is
I
it
don't know.
Yeah.
is it
Is it
I don't.
we need to open a book every time we meet somebody and
it's
go, okay, right, you're tied to this book. Sorry.
I, I mean,
Maybe that would be it. Maybe that you need that anchor, some
yes.
kind of an anchor.
And I think there's sort of two things that happen for me. So when, for instance, if I'm first meeting someone, I get such a wave of anxiety that is going to affect my
Yeah.
memory. So I'm not going to remember their faces very well. I might forget their names. Like,
Lucky to be
um,
looking at their faces, period.
exactly. Um, or if I am, I'm usually fixated on their mouths because the
Yeah.
auditory processing, right? I have to like lip
Right,
read, but then
right.
I don't remember the face as a whole. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like the anxiety factor in in-person things. Um, and then also like as someone with ADHD, where the attention, like where my attention is. Like if I park a car in a mall parking lot and I like intentionally go, where am I? Okay, I'll remember this. But if I'm like thinking other things and I don't pay attention, I won't.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
but I have, if I consciously go, okay, here's where I am, I won't forget.
Right.
So I don't
Me
know.
too.
Yeah, attentional
Yeah.
resource.
It's like, yeah, you have
Yeah,
some control over it, but
yeah,
for some reason, one of the th problems we have is that we forget that we have that power and we don't
yeah.
use it.
Well, and then there are things that are, I think, are my brain discards as unimportant because I can find it out another way, like birthdays. I will not remember anyone's birthdays, usually. Like my
Yeah.
mother's birthday, like a couple of people very close to me, I have
Hmm.
pretty solidly, but otherwise it's like I can figure this out another. They'll probably tell me when it's around the time of their birthday. Like it just does not
Right.
retain.
Me
I
too.
was going to say something. I was going to say something about that. It's like, do we think names are unimportant?
Maybe it's the
The people
least
are
important
important.
person,
Like
you know.
the person, like it's like I was just when you said that, I went, I wonder if that's the thing. It's not that I'm disregarding the person, but I'm
Yeah.
disregarding the label.
And like, what's the most important part of the interaction usually? It's not like their name. It's the content. Hopefully, it's the
Yeah.
content of what's happening.
I can
Right.
tell a whole bunch of neurotypical people are just like
Oh, shaking their heads. Yeah.
fainting on the floor and like, oh, my,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, no, no.
Because to them, it just happens.
Yeah. They don't think about and they don't think
Uh,
about things to the degree that we do, the minutia, I guess. But
uh,
yeah. Do
no.
you, here's a question for you though. Do you think being autistic, like how much has it influenced your work even before you knew you were autistic?
Acting, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Acting,
Well,
writing, whatever. Yeah.
I believe a massive proportion of actors, especially lead actors, are autistic.
Awesome.
I'm convinced that if someone told me it's all, I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly believe that.
Yeah. And why? What do you think? I mean, I have some
Just
theories, but what do you?
because when I talk to them and I
Yeah.
watch them work,
Yeah.
their experiences and their rhetoric with regard to what happened to them and stuff is just
Mm.
exactly like mine. Exactly like the conversation the three of us have just had right now.
Yeah.
You just watch them and you go, oh, well, you know what it's like. You recognize an autistic person, you go, well, you don't know it, dude, but you're autistic.
Yes.
I
All the
won't
time.
tell you about that, but you now have that label on your head.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the way it is. What you realize is that when you're watching actors, you can see a whole film crew of maybe the odd autistic person, but you look at the actors and it's whoa, it's all of them. Yeah,
I
almost.
wonder, like, I know for me, like the draw to acting, again, it's such a it's an emotional conduit, which I really appreciate, especially
Mhm.
like when I have big feelings I need to work out. I know I've talked about that last time, like pulling out monologues when I'm
Right.
upset, like, but like, yeah, and the ability to really study emotions and like, I don't know, what do you think it is that draws
I
our
think
folk?
the main the main thing is that masking and acting are the same thing.
Yeah. So we're already
That's
doing it.
we're
Yeah.
already doing it. We're doing it from day one.
Yeah. Yeah. Bruce, any thoughts?
Millions.
Yeah. Of course.
I,
That's very autistic of you.
Yeah, very.
I'm actually going through, actually, literally, it's almost like a Rolodex of pictures of actors I've worked with.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm
Are you agreeing with me?
actually, no, I'm disagreeing totally.
Oh,
And
Okay.
so
okay.
therefore I'm going through and thinking, have I missed something?
Yeah.
Um, that I'll have to contemplate that. Certainly, I have not met an autistic jazz musician, and I think a lot of people think classical musicians are autistic, and I certainly don't. The people that I've met, and that's more, I know more classical musicians than anybody else, than as a group from
Yeah.
myself. That's definitely not. Actors, I'm wondering whether I, so boy, how many parenthetical statements can Bruce do in one comment? The struggle I had as an autistic theater performer was I couldn't do the social
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yes,
When we were in the rehearsal room,
me
I was
too.
completely fine. I was absolutely fantastic. But I was told nicely, but in one respect, brutally, or let's just say clearly, that I wasn't going forward here in Canada as a music director because not enough people knew me. And I had to go to more show openings. I had to go to do more social things. And it's like, I cannot,
Right.
I cannot do that.
Yeah.
Um, And so, I'm thinking like, often the cast will go for drinks after a show.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that. And I
Yeah.
can't do that, one, now because I'm autistic, but two is like, I've just given myself for 3 hours or 4 hours to this performance. Um, Going with a whole bunch of other people for a drink at the Actors Bar is like, I can't do that. So I'm now wondering whether I missed the knowing the actors outside the rehearsal room.
Well, I think that's one of those like hidden rule things, right? Like, and it's the same in academia too, where it's like there'll be all these events that are like optional events, so-called optional events, but if you don't go, you're missing out on those connections and the opportunities that stem from those. And I mean, I as an actor did go often to the bar or to the thing, but it's like then uh like having a drink was a way of easing my nerves, right? Like, and it was also like this is just the things that they do, so I internalized it as this is part of like the job. What do you think, Mitch,
I
about?
just wanted to clarify that when I said all the actors, I don't mean
We know,
specific all, but
guys.
I'm talking about all the ones who can actually do it, who can
Yeah, like
actually act.
I can definitely think of a
Not
few,
everyone
and
who's in the business.
Yeah.
because lots of them are in the business aren't very good at all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really phenomenal. Okay. I later will talk names off the podcast. I want to hear your thoughts, and I'll give you some of mine. Um,
Oh,
oh my gosh.
Okay,
Well, this was
let's look
really
at the time.
wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah. This was really wonderful to have you back and to chat and hear even more
it was
because
fun.
yeah,
It was
I
great.
loved
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah, hope we get to chat more sometime, and thanks for
Perfect.
making so much time for us.
Oh, it was great. This
Yeah.
is about the biggest social event of my year. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad you had the energy for it, and us too.
I- I'm a great masker.
Yeah, yeah.
Inside, I'm crying.
Yeah, of course.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, it's very true. Or like I feel like I'm anxious all of the time, but I look very calm
Me
and
too.
relaxed most of the time. Can
Yeah.
get me into trouble because people don't realize, you know?
Yeah. What's on the outside isn't what's on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
Oh,
gosh, we got to
well,
do a whole episode on that, Bruce.
there you go.
Yeah, quiz. Yes.
Okay.
What's on the inside is my outside.
That's
Anyway.
true. You're less of a masker that way.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Which is interesting. Well, we're gonna leave it there
Okay.
for today, but
Okay.
again, thank you, Mitch, and thank you everyone for tuning in for hopefully our previous episode with Mitch and also this one. And we will
Thank
see
you.
you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Autistic tidbits and tangents.